Hi guys, my name is Emily. Welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be doing a Q1 check-in. So at the beginning of the year, I shared a list of ambitions, a list of goals. In the comments of that video, you guys expressed an interest in seeing a Q1 check-in because I decided to divide my year up into quarters to make goals more achievable. It is the end of Q1, the beginning of Q2, so I have been reflecting on how Q1 has gone and sort of thinking about what I want to do in Q2 to achieve goals. I am using a bullet journal. Something that I did was actually complete my 30 before 30 list. So this is a next couple years goal, long-term goals. For this year, I broke my goals down into 4 categories. So instead of having like a giant list of goals, I decided to think about 4 areas of my life that I want to focus on and then made some specific goals within each of these categories. So I have work, life, YouTube, and creative. So what I did was I structured my Q1 goals around my yearly goals. So again, I broke up the Q1 goals into work, life, YouTube, and creative. I feel like I've done a pretty good job. So the work thing that I am willing to share is to bring my best self to work, which I feel like I did. I'm gonna grab a pen and I'm gonna check off the things that I feel like I have done. I really wanted to focus on bringing my best self to work because I feel like sometimes with the early morning hours, it can be hard when you're tired to be really positive about any challenges that you might encounter. But I have noticed that if one person is having a bad day and is negative, it is really easy to bring down your coworkers with you just by setting a tone, and I don't ever want to be that person. So I'm trying to bring my best self to work. If we encounter a challenge, to be the person that's like, okay, well, let's look at this from the glass half full perspective opposed to the glass is half empty perspective, because I have become aware of how one person's attitude can really shift the attitude of the team. I hope I'm succeeding. I feel like my mindset has been more self-aware, so I hope that my coworkers are experiencing me that way. I guess I'll find out in a performance review that's happening in April. That is my hope. That has been my intention. In terms of life, I set the lofty goal of saving $3,000, which I didn't do because I invested in the dance classes that I'm taking. I mean, obviously the dance classes didn't cost $3,000. I didn't hit that savings goal because I did choose to spend some of my income on an activity with my partner, and that activity has brought me joy and has brought us like a new skill to work on together. So I don't regret spending that money, but it means that I didn't hit that savings goal. I also scratched out the goal of planning summer travel. Because of the dance lessons, we decided that we wouldn't spend money on travel, on anniversary gifts or birthday gifts or Christmas gifts. The dance lessons are all of those gifts to each other. So because of that, we scratched any fancy summer travel plans, and we're going for a lot more budget-friendly travel plans. Another goal in the life category was to have a workout routine down. One of my goals in the life category is to get healthy, and so that means taking care of my body. That means exercising, not with like crazy weight loss or muscle building goals, just, you know, the care that you should put into your body, keeping it active, keeping it healthy. And so I haven't found a workout routine that's worked for me. And I feel like part of that is because my schedule has been all over the place, and then the projects that I have taken on have taken a lot more time than I thought, and I haven't really settled into a routine. I haven't really found a place to be active. So that is something that I am going to try and work on in Q2, is looking for places in my day to get physically active. Another goal from the life category in Q1 was to be fully vegetarian. And I am fully vegetarian in what I cook for myself, but because of the dietary restrictions that I have, when I go to other people's houses, it is often easier to eat the meat. Like, it's very easy for them to cook a plain piece of meat for me, whereas like pasta or bread or whatever else that goes with the meal might not be gluten-free. But the meals that I cook myself are vegetarian or vegan. So I don't know whether to count that as a win or not. Another goal that I had was to journal mindfully. I wanted to use it as a check-in place to sort of organize my thoughts. And I will admit that when I have been overwhelmed, I have turned to journaling, but I haven't done it as a way to check in all the time with mundane stuff. So I feel like that was maybe a unclear goal. I'm gonna count that goal as just done and not move forward with it, because I turn to journaling when I need it as a way to organize jumbled thoughts. But I haven't been just journaling for the sake of journaling, because I feel like that's a waste of time. And the last goal in the life category is to have one German novel read, which I did accomplish. I finished Die Mitte der Welt by Andreas Steinhöfel, and I did post a video in March talking about the experience of reading a novel in German, and I will link that above and down below if I remember. So then we move on to the YouTube category. I said, see how uploading 2 times a week goes. And so I have been uploading 2 times a week. I feel like it feels like I'm uploading more for me because I'm uploading to Patreon early. So patrons get videos on Monday and Wednesday, and everybody else on YouTube gets videos Wednesday and Friday. I feel like that's been going well, uploading regular content and having set days that I know things are due. I feel like that's been really helpful. So I'm gonna keep going with that in Q2. Another goal in the YouTube category was to do at least 1 in-depth book review a month. I don't think I've achieved this goal. Part of an in-depth book review is having a genuine passion for what you're talking about. And what I was thinking when I said in-depth book review was something more akin to the Dark Tower series, where I just sit down and I make connections and I work through the critical thinking process and engage with that text on camera. And I feel like I have enjoyed books that I have read in Q1, but I haven't really found something that I feel like requires that in-depth book review. So I think setting the goal of at least 1 per month was impractical, because how can I guarantee each month that I'm gonna find something that I'm that passionate about? So I am going to actually scratch this goal. Another goal in this category was to have the Dark Tower series finished, filming and editing. Again, because I have taken on more creative projects, which you will see the fruits of that labor soon. And so I am very close in terms of filming. In terms of editing, I haven't started. The project that I am working on right now has a lot of initial startup labor. Once all of this is done, it's gonna just be very minimal maintenance. And so I am going to move the goal of finishing the Dark Tower series editing into Q2. But we're gonna say that this is partially done, because I do have a couple of days. Full transparency, I'm filming this on March 22nd, which is not quite at the end of Q1. I mean, I'm basically where I'm at. I can't see any miracles happening. I feel like barring any disasters, I can finish the Dark Tower filming, except for maybe 1 video. Well, maybe 2 videos. There are 2 videos that I want to do something a little bit different with, and they require learning a new skill for the one and getting permission for the other. Another goal in terms of YouTube was to start closed captioning every new video. I would like to have the time to close caption every new video before it goes up. Unfortunately, because of how I have an upload schedule, I've been sticking to my upload schedule, but to be honest with you, I have been squeaking in that filming and uploading usually in the same day that it goes up. And what I'm doing for closed captioning is editing the auto-generated subtitles. So it takes YouTube 24 hours, almost 24 hours to generate those subtitles. In Q2, I would like to be organized enough that the video goes live closed captioned, because I haven't quite been achieving that. I have been closed captioning, eventually, I'm gonna do better in Q2. So another thing is Gabby DM'd me about the possibility of viewer-generated subtitles, especially for the backlog of videos, and I feel like that is maybe a good idea. So I'm going to open up my videos for viewer-generated subtitles, so if you are bored and you would like to go to the backlist of videos and closed caption something and help me out, that would be great. The project of closed captioning my entire backlog and making the whole channel accessible is overwhelming, and I can't find the time to close caption the new videos in a timely manner. I have no idea how I'm going to tackle the backlog. The other two goals I have very safely achieved, and they are to shop my TBR shelves, which I have been doing. I've been really pleased with that. The other goal that I have achieved is design a series around the TBR shelf, and I think I've done a couple. I have the Shop My Shelves series, which I've only done one so far, but it's going to be a series where I'm taking your prompts and using it as sort of a scavenger hunt to see what I can pull from the shelves. So I feel like that's a fun way to engage with the books. It's a fun way to look through all the books, read the blurbs on the back, sort of refamiliarize myself with what I actually own. I also have a couple of ideas for 24-hour reading vlogs. So that moves us into the creative category, which is admittedly not as checked off as I would like. So I set 5 goals. One is to start a Patreon book club. So that was an incredibly lofty goal. So I set the goal on Patreon as $500 a month. At that point, I would start producing content specifically for patrons. And obviously, in like the first month or two that I've had Patreon, I haven't achieved that lofty goal. That is a goal that I would like to continue moving forward through each quarter. I'm sure that as the channel grows, the support will grow, and as the support grows, I'll be able to put more time and labor back into the content, which it will just create like that lovely feedback loop. Obviously, it's a thing that takes time, and I'm gonna keep moving that goal forward. So I haven't achieved it. The second goal is to plan a podcast. So technically I have done this twice. I have planned the podcast that I originally wanted to when I set this goal in January, and I've also planned a podcast that I didn't expect. More on that coming soon. So I was approached by a friend, and she had this really cool idea, and I was like, yes, I would like to do that. It also solves the problem of, like, my biggest worry with starting a podcast, because the podcast I was envisioning for myself that I still would like to do involves interviews. My biggest worry was not knowing how to host a podcast and then inviting other folks into my confusion. It actually works out really well to have started this podcast with a permanent co-host. So the two of us are working on our podcasting skills together. Neither one of us is an expert. We're not proclaiming to be experts at this point, and it's a grappling and learning process together. So I feel like I'm developing the skills to host the podcast, like my original brainchild podcast. So I'm gonna check off plan podcast. So that means that I did not start arranging interviews for the podcast, like my brainchild podcast. I have not gotten a draft of my manuscript ready to go by March 31st. I did set that goal of getting my 2018 NaNoWriMo manuscript together. Other things took over, and that's fine. The last goal here is to go on spring photo adventure. Something that my partner and I used to do all the time was take our cameras out, go for hikes, go down to the pier, go into the woods, drive specifically to cool hiking places and take a lot of photos. And I thought it would be really cool to do that in the spring, all the new life. The thing is, we really haven't had spring. We had a lot of snow, and we had a lot of ice, and hiking in ice is no fun. It's really dangerous. Right now we're in that sort of like gray, drizzly, yucky phase between winter and spring. I'm gonna move that forward into spring proper. So Q1 check-in. I feel like I have a really strong start to the year. I'm feeling really inspired, really creative, and that's spilling over into other avenues. The one thing that I think, if I'm being reflexive on this, is time management and finishing projects because of time management. I was too ambitious in setting the deadlines that I gave myself. I feel like I'm being really productive, so I think that I need to be more realistic in the deadlines that I set for myself. Like right now, I'm not feeling discouraged, but I feel like if I progress through the year setting myself deadlines that are too ambitious, I am going to get discouraged. And so I think that's something to carry forward into Q2, is to manage my expectations when it comes to goal setting, to be really cognizant of the amount of time that certain activities will take. This is probably a really long video. I am going to cut here. This is the end of my Q1 reflections. Thank you guys so much for watching this little update. Part 2, if you are interested, will be Q2 goals. And I feel like it might be helpful to see somebody work through these, because this is a learning curve for me. I have never really endeavored to take on so many creative projects without any structure. I'm gonna continue to do these. I'm finding this really helpful. I hope you're finding this helpful. So before we go, we have to thank my patrons. Thank you, patrons, for making videos like this and other long form videos possible. I am cognizant of where your dollars are going in terms of improving the quality of my content. So thank you guys for being here. If you are interested in becoming a patron, I'm gonna say it again, I'm gonna say it in every video because I'm trying, guys. I'm trying to make better things for you. So if you are in a position to support me on Patreon, that would be excellent. That would mean so much to me. Links to that are in the description box down below. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know how your 2019 goals are going, and I will see you very soon with Q2. What am I going to be doing in Q2? What overly ambitious things am I doing in Q2? Stay tuned.